Hello, and welcome to the Wine Enthusiast Podcast, your serving of drinks, culture, and the people who drive it. I'm Sarah Ventura, Digital Managing Editor here at Wine Enthusiast. Over recent years, we've been hearing a lot about the pressures faced by the wine and spirits industry, such as younger generations less interested in wine and other adult beverages, the rise of the NA movement, and increase in cannabis consumption. These days, the cannabis market not only includes smokables and edibles, but beverages too. In quite a few states, these drinks can be found on shelves right near your favorite bottle of Cab or Burgundy in retailers such as ABC and Total Wine. But what are these drinks exactly and how do they work? To answer those questions, I reached out to Jamie Evans, founder of the Culinary Meets Cannabis blog, The Herb Som, mobile cannabis bartending business, The Herbal Cocktail Co., and author of 4 cannabis recipe books. She walks us through the basics of cannabis beverages and tastes us through an array of her favorite products. It gets interesting. To round out the business and regulatory side of the industry, Alexi Chialtas, CEO and co-founder of cannabis beverage company Find Wonder, dives into industry trends, stats, and the future. Listen to learn more about this new skyrocketing category in the beverage world. Hi, Jamie. Thanks for coming on today. Let's just dig right into cannabis beverages. We start from the beginning. When did these drinks come onto the market? When did they go mainstream? And how have they evolved over time?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on the Wine Enthusiast podcast, and hello to all your listeners. But it's been a really fun journey being in the cannabis beverage side of the industry. And I think it's pretty incredible because cannabis has been consumed as a beverage dating back all the way to ancient times when it was actually brewed as a tea in India and China. And so this cannabis tea, this was often used for medicinal purposes, kind of like what we use it for today. Especially for pain relief, digestive issues, and many other ailments. But because cannabinoids such as THC and CBD, and we'll be talking a lot about these cannabinoids today, these are actually not water soluble. So back in the ancient times when they were brewing these cannabis teas, they actually had to make cannabis infused emulsions. So they would infuse milk or infuse butter to actually infuse the tea and help extract those active compounds, so extract this THC and CBD. And this is actually very similar to how we make edibles and drinkables today. So it's just very I just wanted to kind of add that note because cannabis beverages have been with us for many, many years and centuries. But kind of flash forward to modern times. So I think kind of going back to the medical days in cannabis, especially here in California, there were a few different cannabis beverages that you can find out in the market, but they really weren't like what we're seeing today. So it really wasn't until kind of recreational cannabis passed in California, which was in 2018. So it was during this time that a lot of companies, they started specializing in cannabis infused nanoemulsions. So these are like the type of emulsions that you mix into liquids to actually infuse the product. So they were developing these, which really made cannabis drinks shelf stable. All these cannabinoids were actually water stable as well, and they weren't separating apart from liquid. So because of these things, cannabis beverages, it's been driven by innovation. And so it's been really exciting to see where the category kind of started and then where we've gotten today.
Amazing. And these days it seems like it doesn't seem like they are being marketed as like a social tonic. Can
Totally.
you tell me a little bit about, why that is and how that works?
Yeah, so one of the leading beverage brands, they're actually called Cann, so that's Cann. They were one of the first cannabis brands that launched kind of back in that 2018 years that we're talking about. But they really kind of coined that term social tonic when they first launched their beverages. And they were actually the first beverage company that really offered a low dose of THC in their products. And so when they launched at the time, they were going into different dispensaries and talking with different buyers. And some of the buyers were like, you're never going to be able to sell this product. Like, nobody wants a low dose product. And so, as time went on, they were very wrong. And I think low dose beverages is really kind of the future and where we're going. And having like that low dose of THC, which is kind of like 5 milligrams or less, it really does make you feel social and makes you feel kind of like a little bit of that euphoria, a little mild buzz. But I think the coolest thing about the drinkables is it's much different than an edible when you're consuming it because the onset is much, much quicker. And so this is really because of those fast-acting nanoemulsions that we were talking about earlier. And they really you kind of, like, feel it within well, depending if you have an empty stomach or not, but, I usually feel between, like, 15 to 20 minutes, or sometimes if you eat an edible, you might be waiting around for, like, an hour or more for it to set in, and then some people think that they're never gonna feel it, so they eat it like another edible, which is not recommended at all. So I think the beverages, because they are so fast acting, it almost gives you that similar experience to drinking a wine or a beer.
You brought up when we spoke previously that there's now different like dosages. One brand that you mentioned was Wonder, and they've got a higher vibe versus a more sessionable one.
Right. Yeah.
And so the sessionable, would that be like the 5 milligram sort of?
Exactly, yeah, and I think that's what's so great about cannabis beverages is there are many different options for all different types of consumers. So whether you're brand new to cannabis, there's, like, very low dose options, those starting at, like, 2 milligrams a can of THC per can, and then if you're very experienced and you know that you need a higher dose of THC, you can find 100 milligram drinks. So there really is a broad range of products available, but as I always say, as you're beginning to experiment with cannabis, always start low. So remember that golden rule, go low, start slow, and then kind of work your way up, and then you can kind of find your comfort zone from there.
And so, like, the higher vibes, the 10 milligram THC, is there some way to, like, compare that? I mean, how do you compare a high? I'm not really sure, but with
Yeah, I mean, it's all about experimentation. So, like, if you're kind of experimenting, trying to find your perfect dose, I always like recommend starting with something below 5 milligrams. Enjoy that beverage, see how it goes. And then if you feel like you can have more than one next time, then maybe try that 10 milligram drink. And then you can kind of work your way up from there. And it's also helpful, like, for other products in cannabis, I always like to use, like, tinctures because that's a really good way to kinda titrate dosages and kind of figure out where your comfort zone is. But like I said, cannabis beverages, they're a little bit different than the other types of products just because of the onset, the duration, and how you're consuming it. So, probably my favorite way to consume cannabis at this point.
well, yeah, and that's obviously you have a whole, business around it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, I started out in the wine industry and I worked in the industry for over a decade, crossed over to cannabis in 2017, and I launched a blog called The Herb Som. So, The Herb Som is a culinary meets cannabis blog that really focuses on the culinary side of the industry. Besides that, kind of over the years, I've written 4 books, so 4 published books, all about cooking with cannabis, but some of the recent books have been focused on cannabis beverages and how to craft your own cannabis drinks at home. So, really kind of diving into the mixology side of the industry, which has been very fun. So, my latest book, it's the High Times cocktails book. So, it's called Seasonal Sips and High Teas for Every Occasion. So, that came out last year. But that really, writing these books really ignited my passion for cannabis and beverages and just, like, launching my company in 2017, I really have seen the evolution of these types of drinks and have been involved, in helping kind of grow the industry in several different ways, but it's just been really fun to see, all of the things that have happened since then, but kind of along the road, aside from my books, I helped launch Herbossi, which is a cannabis-infused wine product, so that launched back in 2021, and then I recently launched the Herbal Cocktail Co., which is a mobile cannabis bartending business, which we make cannabis cocktails at private events, and we also host our own gatherings. So I'm kind of a little bit kind of in all different parts of the beverage space, but it's been really fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're like a cannabis maven at this point with all of the different things. And so, speaking of beverages, I mean, there's a couple points I'd love to cover. One is how have the flavor profiles of these beverages changed over time? For a long time, was under the impression they did not taste great. That
Yeah.
sounds like it's different now.
It's much different now, and I'm excited that we're gonna be able to taste today because I feel like when drinks originally came out, they were very, very sweet, not very formulated for a very sophisticated palate, I would say. So they weren't very complex. But now that like the industry has grown and grown and there's been so much innovation, like all of these products, they're so well made. I think they almost taste like a well-crafted cocktail in many ways that you're gonna taste today.
And so these, I mean, you use these beverages sort of as the base or as parts of the cocktails that you make in that side of the business too. Is that right?
Yeah, so at public events, we definitely use commercially made products. But in the books, I actually teach you how to make your own infusions. So I teach you how to make cannabis infused simple syrups, cannabis infused bitters, and kind of you build out your bar pantry and then you can infuse many other cocktails and drinks. But when we're in like a public setting serving other guests, I 100% use commercially made products just because they are precisely dosed. So that allows us to really create that 2.5 milligram cocktail, just so we know exactly what is what and keeping it very safe and responsible.
And are there different, like, strains of THC/cannabis cocktails? Like, I know I hear words being thrown around. I mean, THC is the obvious one, but,
Yeah.
like, CBD, Delta 9,
Oh, absolutely. That comes down to like the specific emulsion that a beverage company is using. So you can use whatever kind of cannabinoid you want. Like I've had beverages that have a mix of THC and CBD. Sometimes people include another cannabinoid called THCV, which is almost like kind of like the Adderall of cannabis. It gives you like this boost of energy. There's also like CBG, which is more of a like, relaxing cannabinoid. And people are really kind of like customizing these drinks to produce a particular effect. So it's very cool. And it's because of these nano emulsions, and you can really customize it that way. And then also create emulsions that are very terpene driven. And today we're going to be tasting a product called Klaus, and he actually uses a hash rosin to make his infusion. So it's going to be a lot more cannabis flavors are be more pronounced, but it really mixes well with the ingredients that are in that beverage. And what I like to say is anytime you're mixing with cannabis, you want to like complement the flavors versus trying to mask it. So I think there's a lot of flavors that play well with kind of like those plant flavors.
yeah, like, more herbal green type
Yeah,
note. Yeah.
right. And citrus. Citrus is like one of the best ingredients to mix with.
So are these beverages, like, can you buy them in every state now? Where are they available?
Yeah, so it really depends on the state. For the most part, I think with hemp-derived beverages, there's just different legalities and different regulations depending on where you're at. So I'm actually based in California, and currently all hemp beverages have been banned. This is as of 20 or this is like last September, I think it was. And so now you can only find cannabis infused beverages at licensed retail spaces. So this is like you go into a licensed dispensary or a delivery service who will deliver it to you. But before the ban, you could actually go into Total Wine and More. You can go into Bevmo and actually purchase a product that had cannabis in it. And I fully believe that cannabis beverages do belong at retail locations where you can find other adult beverages. I think it really makes sense. And a lot of times like a dispensary, for instance, they don't have refrigeration for drinks. There's very limited shelf space, and they're just not built to really deliver kind of a beverage experience. So I know there's a lot of people working towards kind of giving these cannabis and hemp beverages kind of back into off premise and hopefully on premise one day. That would be great.
Yes, and we're gonna be digging into that, next. Alexi Chialtis of Wonder is gonna bring us into the, business of cannabis beverages and what's going on in that space. And here we have Alexi Chialtis of Wonder to talk about the business of cannabis beverages and the state of the industry. So I'll just start off. Alexi, can you tell me a little bit about Wonder, how you got started?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, Sarah. Glad to be here. So, Find Wonder was founded. I think the initial kind of commitment to the category of the idea of THC beverages in a can came in 2019. So we started in 2019 in California, launching in THC dispensaries, and within, call it 12 to 18 months, realized that the business model there was going to be really challenging for many reasons. But first and foremost, dispensaries and that entire supply chain where cannabis is usually sold is frankly not designed or set up to move beverages, which are heavy, voluminous, take a lot of space, and as a business, generally require a lot of volume. So that would lead us forward to 2022, where we would shift towards other places outside of California that were starting to sell THC beverages next to alcohol. And I think that's where the story and the business gets really exciting, where we launched in Minnesota, which was the first state to have kind of codified progressive regulations around the ability to sell THC beverages next to alcohol. And now we're in over 9 states, covering about a fourth of the U.S. population, adult population today.
Wow, that's really impressive. And so are those all the states where cannabis is legal, or are there different rules for the beverages?
Yeah, so the I think the thing around THC beverages, which a lot of people are referring to, which I think for consumers is a little bit strange, but people are calling Delta 9 beverages, hemp derived THC beverages is another way to think about it. But the regulations on THC beverages is a little bit of a sliding scale. So you have some states that have completely banned it because they're like, wait, what is this? Slow down. I'm not sure what this is. I'm not comfortable with that. So a state like that is California, where they've said you cannot sell this next to alcohol today. But at the same time, there are active conversations between people in the THC beverage category or the hemp industry, alcohol retailers, alcohol distributors, and legislators to say, let's make some sensible regulation that really clarifies what can and can't be done with THC beverages. So for us, with the states that we're in, so they call it the 9 states covering 25% of the U.S. adult population, those are states where we've the regulations are either extremely clear or about to become really clear. And so we feel like there's low risk of really regulatory shutdown. So there's a sliding scale. Most states are kind of silent to moving towards positive, with a few states that are really positive, and some states saying, no, not now, not yet.
And so, I mean, you kind of mentioned a little bit about now they can be sold in, retail outlets that also sell alcohol. Is that the case? Is that where you normally would buy these beverages, or like, where do most consumers find access to them?
Yeah, so like in the that's a really exciting point. So when you think about the let's just take alcohol beverages for example, there are different channels. So I call them sub channels, however you want to refer to it. So if you think about where can you buy alcohol, while it varies by state, and in a large way to think about it, you can think of the major channels as being packaged liquor. So traditional liquor stores, Total Wine and More, ABC, Specs in Texas. Those are some of the big names in general. There's convenience store, there's grocery, and there's kind of like, the Walmarts of the world, kind of mass pack. And so the interesting thing about it is like, clearly Walmart's not selling it today. But if you fast forward, so there's this idea of channel expansion where Walmart, if you fast forward 12, 24, 36 months, could be selling these drinks. Who is selling it today and has really embraced the category and really brought light to the category and the potential here is packaged liquor. And so those are the ABCs of the world or the Total Wines of the world, which have realized these drinks are not only, frankly, the same volume as something like craft beer, so 12 ounces or something like that. So they cost the same to move from place to place, but generally have a higher margin dollar, the same margins, and extremely high velocities. So what you're seeing from a business perspective is that the different stakeholders in the industry are all very interested in this category. And so I would call it packaged liquor is the chain of today and now, where you're seeing convenience stores start to open up. You're starting to see these other channels. And so that's what the future in the near future could look like. But today, for us, something like 70% of our volume is done through packaged liquor.
Oh, wow. And so, I mean, speaking of volume and sales, I mean, for the industry as a whole, what are how many of these units, cans, 4 packs are selling at the moment?
Yeah, and I think that that's like the exact numbers because there's not really spins data yet, or some of these traditional ways that people would measure, Nielsen spins, some of these traditional ways of measuring like how big is a category, how big are these brands across board. So I think what you have to do is you have to kind of infer, and I think that there's been numbers that I've seen that said the industry today could be $1 billion in terms of beverage sales. What I'll say is that in some markets that are further along in terms of their development. And so when I think of development, it's like supply chain essentially. Like, does the consumer know about the category? Is the end place you want to get to? Consumers know about it. They know where they can buy it. They're buying it frequently. That's broader category adoption. But there's some states where maybe no one's distributing it, or hardly anyone is, or they just started to distribute it. So there's not that many retail partners, et cetera. And so where I'm going with this is that it is not uncommon in a state like Minnesota to see packaged liquor stores that sell alcohol, that sell all these products that we know today, to have north of 10% of their total store sales be the THC beverage category. So if you think about that and you think, well, alcohol is a $250 billion market in the US, 260, whatever number you want to use, that means that, overnight, if this was available and being distributed, there's no reason why in 12 months this couldn't be a $25 billion category. And so where it is it's probably somewhere in between, right? Like Minnesota is not the biggest state, but the largest liquor and packaged liquor stores are selling these products in Florida, states like Tennessee, and elsewhere, and Texas. Texas, you have the largest retailer, Specs, 250 stores selling these products in their doors for consumers, and this is just the beginning. And so what the actual category is today, I couldn't tell you, but I would say that, most states that are selling it is probably somewhere between 3 to 10% of alcohol sales in the stores that are selling it.
Wow, that's impressive. So what is the future? Like what are you expecting for the future of the cannabis beverage category in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you think about it today, so, again, like if you compare it to what the potential is, there's something like 240,000 locations that sell alcohol. Fine Wonder is in, call it, 2,000. So I think what the future of this category looks like and is starting to look like is you're starting to see bigger and bigger retail outlets sell it. You're seeing, and that's only being supported by the fact that consumers are trying it, are repeat buying it, are exploring, are saying, I will try, if you have 6 products on the shelf, I will try all 6 and see which one I really like. And so there is a natural gravitational pull that is, or demand that is being generated by consumers saying, I will buy these products, I will buy them at a premium, and I'm interested in them. And then retailers saying, we need to pay attention to this. Alcohol distributors are already paying attention to it. Many of them are selling it. So you'll see more and more of these. And I think that will not culminate, but I think the next step that you'll see in the next 12 months is you'll start to see arenas starting to sell it, the large music venues, football games, baseball games. You can start to see this in some of these states. And so what, the immediate future looks like is, I think, just increased momentum, increased awareness. I think that will also cause some people to say, wait, what is this that is being sold? And I don't believe in it. So I think there will be, an equal or opposite reaction in the other direction. But I also, I think the future is just more ubiquity in terms of availability. So, I obviously Costco or Walmart selling these types of drinks is possible, and I think we'll be there. And so I think that's what the future holds for this category.
Amazing. Well, yeah, next step, I'm going to taste them for the first time. So I'm excited about that. But thank you very much, Alexi, for your input. This has been really illuminating and helpful in understanding what's going on in the market.
No problem, Sarah. Anytime.
Are you tired of showing up to dinner parties with run-of-the-mill wine that doesn't excite you or any of your friends? Wish you had a personal sommelier to guide you toward epiphany-inducing bottles that'll rock everyone's world? SomStation is here to help. Its expert team seeks out incredible wines from top independent producers, aka bottles you won't find in grocery stores or on liquor store shelves. These are the opposite of mass-produced wines. SomStation's online wine shop features hundreds of bottles handcrafted with meticulous care, with top-notch fruit by the most skilled winemakers. Also in the mix, curated wine club options that'll have you discovering new favorites. Whether you're in the market for a single bottle, virtual tasting experiences, private tastings, or a wine club membership, Somsation makes it easy and can make your wine experience even more special.
Explore now at somsation.com/wine enthusiast.
Okay, and so now we're gonna do some tasting. Jamie, could you please guide us or guide me through this this afternoon tasting, and we're gonna see how this goes.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have a really great lineup of brands that we're tasting today. We have a few flavors from Wonder. I know you just spoke with Alexi. So I'm really excited to talk about these products. He probably touched a lot about kind of like the inception of Wonder and where they've come from, but just some notable things that I've worked with them for several years now, but I just really love how they've always focused on using kind of like other cannabinoids in their formulations, which I think is very different from some of the other brands. And they spent a lot of time working specifically on the taste profile. So I think they're very elevated, really great brands. I think they're delicious. They also have like their higher dose beverages. I think we have their higher vibes, two of their higher vibes. And then they have a lower dose, which is called Sessions, that we're going to taste today. We're also tasting a brand called Artet. And so this is a brand that's really focused on kind of mixology. It's actually family owned. So it was their kind of idea to create products that you could easily mix into cocktails. So I actually use Artet all the time at my events. And I think it's one of the best kind of cannabis aperitif that's out there. So we're going to be tasting that. And then they also have some canned kind of cocktails that we're going to be tasting. And then the final brand is called Klaus. And Klaus is created by my kind of my mentor in the cannabis beverage space, Warren Bobrow. So he is a very famed mixologist. He's also known as the cocktail whisperer. So he came out with this line. It's actually, yeah, he has 3 new flavors, which is fantastic. And he actually wrote the very first cannabis book back in 2015, the cannabis drinks book, I should say. So he's been in cannabis cocktails for a very long time. So I'm really thrilled to kind of taste those with you.
Amazing. So, yeah, which one would you like to start with?
Let's dig in. I think let's start with the Wonder Higher Vibes. We'll do the Blackberry Lemon.
Okay.
And just looking at the can itself, so this has, I always look at the milligrams first. So this is 10 milligrams THC, 10 milligrams CBG. So a very fun kind of cannabinoid blend.
Okay.
Pop these open. And we are pouring these into a wine glass.
Yes, I have my very long stem glass right now. I feel very fancy.
And so, like, right away, I mean, the thing is about cannabis beverages, I actually evaluate this just like you would evaluate a wine, right? So we're looking at the color. This is a beautiful kind of like pink purpley color. And wow, the flavors and aromas are just like bursting out of the glass, right?
Yeah. Yeah, very like citrusy. I mean, obviously fruity. I feel like
Yeah,
getting a lot of that blackberry.
a lot of the
Very
blackberry.
ripe.
Yes. Yeah, very ripe, very like, yeah, that nice like citrus is coming through. Kind of like a perfect summer drink, honestly. And so I'm gonna give it a little taste. Yeah, so I think like a lot of those aromas that were on the nose are really coming through on the palate. So a lot of great like red and black fruit notes, also a lot of great citrus and nice acidity, which kind of cleanses the palate. Also some
Yeah.
bubbles. I think bubbles are a key part of the cannabis beverage experience.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it's quite tasty. They could probably get you into trouble because it is pretty crushable in many ways.
Yes, that's true. And like that's also a part when you're like consuming cannabis drinks is to always be mindful that this is infused. All right, cool. So that's the blackberry lemon.
Okay.
I think the next one we'll try. Actually, I love this one is I think my favorite Wonder one. This is the blood orange bitters. So this is out of their higher vibes collection.
Ooh, yeah, it's got a really nice like blood orange color
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
the color's beautiful.
Oh,
And I
this
also
one smells like it has more of a weed smell to it though.
Yeah, and I think because of like the bitters that's in the product, it gives more about like adult beverage experience.
Yeah.
I love the blood orange smell. That's so yummy.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of like, I mean, different, but like some sort of
Mhm.
like orangey IPA type situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I could see that for sure. There's also kind of like a floral component. I love, like,
Ugh.
the tart citrus, the bitters. Yeah, I love how it, like, kinda lingers on your palate. And I've actually made a lot of mixed drinks with this, like, at parties. It's really easy to mix into different cocktails, which has been fun. So
Yeah, like what would you mix it with?
oh my gosh. So, we actually at my last event, this was a couple weeks ago, we made a really fun drink, and we mixed it with Pathfinder, which is a non-alcoholic spirit, and it kind of added these almost like Amaro effects, I wanna say, but it kinda, like, gave
Mm.
this, like, really elevated experience. We had looked to, mixed in a little fresh citrus and some club soda, and so it had, like, all of this complexity and no alcohol, which is great. So, it's a fun
Oh
thing to
man.
mix with. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that all the NA spirits only make, the possibilities for cannabis beverages like that much
Mhm.
wider, which is exciting.
Right. Yeah, I know, and then you can actually mix the 2 and you still get a buzz because of the cannabis. So
Yeah.
which is great.
Great for the California sober folks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of
So
reminds me of like an adult Orangina a little bit.
oh, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I know that, like, Wonder too, they spend a lot of time formulating, and I'm just really proud of, like, the products that they develop, and it's been fun to work with them over the years, so okay, cool. So that was, a few of the Wonder products that we tasted. We have more drinks coming up, so I guess we'll hop over to our Tet, and if you wanna open their strawberry basil spritz.
Okay, so
Okay.
strawberry basil.
When I first discovered this brand, I just fell in love with their packaging. It's beautiful, it's very art driven, and I think when you look at the can itself too, it's really nice. They did a really great job. It's very modern, chic, artistic, like I said,
Yeah.
and kind of like helped elevate the beverage category. But when I smell this spritz, lots of bright kind of strawberry notes. So, like, very fruit forward, but also there was, like, almost like this spicy, like, peppercorn, like, pink citrus thing going on, which I think is really
Mhm.
interesting, and almost like these ginger and cardamom notes. So it's, like, pretty complex. Yeah, and that really comes through because our Tut's, like, signature emulsion, it has kind of, like, these, like, very, like, baking spice notes which you're gonna try in their aperitif, but it comes through in the canned products as well.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it really does have. I mean, when I first
Mhm.
smelled it, it was like it. I got like herbal notes, but now that you call it out, I'm like, oh, that really is like very cardamom. Is there's like that really like interesting like nuanced spice note to it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
I know. So it's, like, definitely something you wouldn't expect of something called, like, strawberry basil, but it has, like, all of these other elements, which I think kind of speaks to the complexity of the types of beverages that are out there, so I really enjoy this product, and also this has a good balance of THC and CBD, so this is a 5 milligram THC to 5 milligram CBD drink, which is kind of my happy place. I really enjoyed the 5 to 5.
And what does that? I mean, what does that mean exactly when you're
Yeah.
combining them like that?
So I think, if you're just having THC in a product, like, you're kind of limiting the experience because cannabis is really it works best as, like, a full plant experience, so having other cannabinoids available kind of gives you a better high or better, I think, just, like, onset and feelings and so when we're talking about ratios in the cannabis space, so depending on, like, the type of product, you can find something that's, like, an 18 to 1, which is, like, a higher ratio of CBD, low ratio to THC, and on and on and on. But a balanced ratio is when you have the same amount of milligrams of THC as the same milligrams of CBD. So we really call that a balanced ratio, which really delivers, I think, the best drinking experience. But everyone is different. Some people really like to get that full, like, Delta 9 THC high. But I really love mixing in other cannabinoids, just like we saw with Wonder. They used, the CBG, which is, like it kinda gives those nice, like, relaxation notes that CBD does and helps balance kind of the THC that's in there. So I think that's really important when you're formulating.
And so is the CBD known for more of like I mean, you don't get high from CBD, correct?
So CBD doesn't give you those intoxicating effects that you're going to get from Delta 9 THC. It's mostly great for like definitely helping balance out the THC experience. But also if you're looking for products like for health reasons, it's great for like inflammation and other purposes where THC is really great for pain relief. But acting together, this is where you're going to find the greatest benefits is having kind of that full plant experience with many different cannabinoids. And they kind of call this the entourage effect. This is a term we use in the cannabis space. But I really do feel like that's true. And so I think it just gives you, a much more pleasant kind of like tasting, if you will, especially for a beverage.
Yeah. Well, and it's delicious, so that's also helpful.
Very true. Okay, so with our Tet, you also have let's see, the mango ginger spritz is another great one.
Okay, should we do that one next?
Yeah, let's do that one next.
Okay.
So our Tet, when they first launched, they actually came out with their aperitif, which is the large 750 bottle that we're going to taste. And then they later came out with these canned options, which are great. And they're like these cute little like 8-ounce cans.
Nice packaging, lovely design.
Yeah.
40 calories.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing is cannabis beverages definitely have way less calories than alcohol. So, yeah. I think the Wonder, they were actually 20 calories total. So that's really cool.
Oh, yeah, and only 6 grams of sugar per can. I didn't even think to check that.
Yeah.
Added bonus.
But yeah, definitely not a bonus. Okay, so back to the Artet. So this is their mango ginger spreads. I really, really enjoy this product. I love mango as a fruit, and then I really love kind of the ginger aspect of this product. But there's also a lot of like citrus that jumps out when I smell this drink. So almost kind of like a blend of like lime, grapefruit, and tangerine, but also this element of like florals, like white blossoms almost appear. And then of course like all the kind of baking spices and ginger.
Yeah, more cardamom.
Yeah, more cardamom. Yeah, I think that's like one of the key flavors of our Tet is yeah. But I love it. It's so delicious.
I love cardamom.
Me too. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite baking spices. But yeah, I think because of like the mango too, it kind of gives you like that exotic fruit note.
Yeah. Really refreshing, like sweet, but not too sweet. A little bit tart. Nice acid. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and like these little bubbles that kind of tingle the tongue. Very crisp.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
into it.
I know. It's a fun one. And then, okay, so next we can taste the Artet aperitif. So this is in a big 750 bottle. And I think like when you taste this, you'll kind of recognize some of the nuances in the other products.
And this was the first thing that they released.
Yeah. So this is
Okay.
like their flagship product.
Okay.
And so this specific product is made to be mixed with other things. So think about this as like an NA spirit or like an alcohol spirit. But this is like the cannabis version that you'd replace with that. So, but a lot of like baking spices, ginger, it has that like body and that viscosity that almost like the alcohol gives to a cocktail. And I like
yeah,
that
the
kind of like
texture is amazing.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So imagine mixing this into like a Paloma or like some other type of drink and then having kind of like all of those elements. It really adds that like the complexity because it is a very complex liquid. It has a lot of elements and layers that are going on in there.
And so if you were going to make like a Paloma out of it, what other products would you use?
Oh my gosh. So I would actually just use this. So I'd use fresh grapefruit juice, a dose of Artet, which is 2.5 milligrams, a little bit of fresh lemon juice or lime juice, and then maybe some simple syrup. But actually, because it's spring, I would probably do like a rhubarb simple syrup, mix it up a little bit, which is something that we're playing around with. We have an upcoming event for the Herbal Cocktail Co. So we're actually making a Paloma that has the rhubarb syrup. So
Oh man,
with
that
your
sounds
type.
really good.
But I'd mix it with all kinds of things. Okay, cool. So let's move on to Klaus. These are really fun. I actually have not. Well, I tasted the Meserol once. So Warren recommended there's a tasting order, so we should do Meserol first.
Okay. Also, I love the can of the Meverol. It's got this really
Oh,
cool,
gorgeous.
like, not spiral, but like circular design with lots of beautiful colors.
Yeah, the packaging on all the beverages for Klaus is very innovative and beautiful. Oh yeah, I can
Okay.
even smell the cannabis right when you open the can.
Oh, yeah.
Good. And so this is different than the other ones because he uses the hash rosin. Yeah, so it's definitely gonna give the emulsions more of kind of like a cannabis forward note. Wow, but it mixes really well with everything that's in there. So the Meserol, wow, you can definitely smell that like spicy ginger syrup
Yeah.
and the lime puree.
Yeah, and I feel like I can, like, feel the cannabis in my nose,
Oh yeah,
that, like,
like
herbal
just like a little
green.
petal.
Yeah. It's nice, though.
And he used super lemon haze. That's the strain he used to create this specific emulsion. And I can actually smell kind of like that lemon note.
Yeah, and you taste it too.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yum. I like it. That's so good.
Also, I feel like we've been doing I mean, I guess I haven't had a whole beverage yet, but we've been doing this for what, 15 minutes now, and I'm
Yeah.
still feeling pretty normal, so
Yeah.
where
I
am
can
I
feel
at?
like a little tingle.
Yeah, I feel more relaxed.
That that's good. Yeah, I love like the ginger notes on the Meserol.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with the rest of these cans when we're done.
You'll have to have
Call
people
my
over for tasting.
Yeah, call my neighbors here.
Yeah.
Happy
I think
Wednesday.
what's interesting too about Warren's products is he really tapped into like brands and things he would use when he was in the mixology world. So a lot of these things are like really high quality ingredients that you would find in like a bar.
Yeah, I mean, that's really delicious and nicely nuanced, okay.
Yeah, super nuanced.
Oh, mirin vinegar, interesting.
Oh, right, yeah. And it's like a dry mirin vinegar, not sweet, so it kind of gives that nice dryness.
Yeah, the ingredients say a zippy tangy tangle
Mhm.
of spicy ginger, zesty lime juice, and dollops of piquant, I can never say that word right, mirin vinegar to finish.
Yeah. I like the tanginess. That's a great descriptor for the product. I
Yeah.
mean, I love yeah, it's really well balanced. Yum. Okay, so next we have and these all of these drinks are 10 milligrams THC and less than 1 CBD. So they're definitely different than the other ones that we've tried that have more CBD in them.
So these are gonna be more of like just a
Stronger
high
type.
rather than
Mhm.
a all-encompassing feeling?
Yeah, this will definitely have a more pronounced Delta 9 experience,
Okay.
especially with the hash rosin. All right. So the next one we're going to open is the Bosphorus.
Okay.
Oh yeah, this is also very I love the packaging on this. Really pretty.
Yes, it's very like 60s flower childs, but modern. And so Bosphorus says exotic citrus oils, apricot puree, rose petal, simple syrup,
Mm.
finished with mirin vinegar.
Yeah, you can even tell the color is different than the first one we tasted. Really pretty color. It's like almost like a golden color, like apricot.
Yeah, it almost kind of looks like an orangey pit nut.
Oh yeah, it does. That is yeah, totally. Ooh, I really like the nose on this.
Yeah.
I would say it's like a very pretty nose. It has that like apricot, the floral components.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting a lot of the apricot on the nose. Hmm. It's really well balanced though on the tongue.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, it is.
That one's really good.
Really yummy. I haven't this is the first time I've tasted this. It's delicious.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is probably one of my. I mean, they've all been good, but this is
Mhm.
definitely ranking high up on my list of favorites.
Oh, good. Yeah. And then he says that he used a pineapple express for this emulsion, which I can definitely tell it has like that kind of tropical fruit component to it.
And so to confirm or clarify, the Pineapple Express is a flower strain.
Yes, that is right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he's using like a hash rosin emulsion. But yeah, it begins as pineapple express the flower. Good question. This is really yummy. It's like almost like you're
Mm-hmm.
biting into like a fresh like apricot and then it like explodes with like all of these other elements. I love
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're definitely getting some of the rose.
it. Yeah, it's like nice and soft on the palate.
Yeah.
Well done. That's yummy.
Yeah, I'm definitely drink that one again for sure.
Okay, cool. So we're coming to our last beverage. This is also from Klaus. This is the 1851 Zombie. This one, I love like tropical cocktails, so I'm excited to see what this one tastes like.
Oh, yeah. This one, okay. So it says cinnamon, citrus, pineapple, and cherry. Warren's take on a tiki bar classic of beach bum berry fame.
Mm.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Like
That smells really good.
very pineapple-y.
Very pineapple. I love pineapple is my favorite fruit, so I I love it.
You're sold already.
Mm,
Yeah. It reminds me of a tiki drink.
definitely. It's almost like it's very thick on the palate too.
Yeah, and in the glass. I mean, my glass is like coated.
Yeah. It's interesting
Mm.
because it's like it doesn't really give me a lot of sweet notes.
I feel the pineapple on my tongue, but it's
Uh-huh.
like it's not super, it's not the
Mhm.
sugariness aspect of it.
Right. Yeah. A lot of I think it's that citrus puree probably that's giving it that weight. Or maybe even the sweet cherry puree,
Mm.
I would say. Very interesting. I love how all of these like beverages, they're completely different. Like all of the Klaus drinks.
Yeah. Yeah, and they interesting directions. Cool gently for a half an hour and add exactly 1 cube of ice to a chilled glass.
Yeah.
It's very specific.
Yeah, with the tiki drink, I would want to pour it into definitely with some ice for sure.
Yeah, but they are completely, I mean, they're like completely different experiences.
Mhm. Yeah, and for like different consumers depending on what your flavor profile is. Are you feeling a little buzzed now?
I think so. I mean, I am feeling buzzed, definitely. I'm like, if I have to think about it, I'm feeling buzzed. I'm feeling much more relaxed. My work
Yeah.
day the stress is gone.
Oh,
And I'm like
yeah.
ready to take the dog for a nice, relaxing hike. So that sounds fun. I
Perfect.
just don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of these cans. I'm going to have to try to pawn them off.
Tell your friends or yeah, and I think too, like we tasted through quite a few beverages, but it is such a like kind of a light high and like I still feel like very bubbly and social and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, these are fantastic, and I really appreciate it. As I mentioned to you earlier, I was kind of skeptical of the cannabis beverages. I, have been more of a traditionalist in my cannabis consumption throughout my life, but I'm into them. I think yeah, maybe I've become another cannabis beverage adopter.
I mean, that's the goal. And I think too there's just so many different like formats like we saw like the canned products, there's different cannabis drinks that you mix as a cocktail in the mixology world, and there's just so many ways to approach it. And then also, like, what I teach in my books is how to make your own infusions. So there's also kind of that aspect as well.
So, I mean, anyone that wants to, get on the train has all different ways of doing it, whether they want to just be, go
Yeah.
for what's done and have things that are delicious or go all out and turn into their own cannabis mixologist.
Yeah. Yep, it turns into, like, almost like a science lab.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jamie. I really appreciate you walking us through all of this. And
Of course. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
yeah, great afternoon. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my evening. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, same. I'll probably finish one of these and go for a walk as well.
I think that sounds like a great plan.
Okay, Sarah, thank you, and so much. Big thank you to all the listeners that are out there as well.
Yeah, thank you. Are you interested in giving cannabis beverages a try? We'd love to know. You can email us your comments and questions at podcast@wineenthusiast.com. Remember, you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to your favorite shows. You can also go to wineenthusiast.com/podcast for more episodes and transcripts. I'm Sarah Ventura. Thanks for listening.